The nature of boundaries is not as straightforward as it first appears. Our vantage point informs the coordinates of a boundary. Zoom out and a boundary looks clear. The appearance of strong lines and contours dominate the picture. This can give us a feeling of security. We know where we stand in relation to another object. The dimensions of a boundary can also leave us feeling confined. Keepers of boundaries tend to find more strength and comfort from boundaries than those who are subject to them. Whether or not we are the owner of a boundary, most of us are likely to feel the strong tugging of a desire to push against boundaries. We want to go a little further, push ourselves just a bit harder, and set our sights on new vistas. We want the veil of the wall obscuring our line of sight and freedom of movement to be redefined. If we define the terms and details of a new boundary, we likely experience a soaring sense of freedom. We've created something new that opens up a controlled area of exploration. Our redrawn landscape titillates our need to discover and be discovered. So what happens when we zoom in? Dizzying mounts of details assault our senses. The closer we get to an object, the more information we have to sort out. At this level, boundaries are not so clear. Consider cartographical features. What happens when you get closer? Those friendly lines of demarcations become blurry. They become impossible to decipher, like a jagged coastline that's forever changing its face, and yet it remains the edge. Then there are boundaries like cell membranes. Here, selective permeability turns an organic boundary into a doorway for some and a barrier for others. Why am I working so hard to extend a metaphor of boundaries to understand organizational dynamics? Well, you see, organizations have turned boundaries into idols. How much time and energy do we spend adjusting the pieces of our jigsaw puzzles? We do our best to keep the pieces consistent while we rearrange them into endless configurations to support our organizational objectives. We build business processes and systems and tools to support these organizational structures, aka boundaries, always in the well-intentioned name of efficiency, best practice, and consistency. We're like an alchemist playing with our esoteric mix of ingredients, hell-bent on tweaking our mysterious experiments to produce gold, or better yet, an immortal structure out of our chaos that never needs to be altered again. Before you can have a team of many, you have individuals. Imagine individuals as free-floating atoms in an immense space, waiting to be assembled into elements, to form compounds, and so on with ever-increasing degrees of beautiful complexity. In our noble efforts to think less about our self-centered needs and blitzkrieg our way to developing strong organizational teams, we're all too quick to forget the fragility and importance of the solitary and marvelous unique identity of all the I's assembled in our organization. Do you actively cherish individuals? Do you keep your finger on the pulse of what makes each person a treasure? Sorry if the soft feel-good language is off-putting to some, but one utilitarian fact remains. Forget the value and diversity of the gifts encapsulated in all of the people around you, and you'll only achieve a fragmented shadow of what you might have if it had been more keyed into focusing your attention on individuals. Conjure the image of watching a child performing in front of a sea of people during a concert. Look at her face. Do you see her eyes lighting up? A little tilt of her head, or the change in color of her cheeks? The soft, subtle language of people stepping into their purpose needs to be vigilantly watched and mindfully discerned. There is a signature here. Just as our palms and fingertips are signed with our one-of-a-kind patterns, so are people, experience, attitudes, aptitudes, perspectives, passions, fears, dreams, and interests. Join me next time as we look at how some counterintuitive ways of thinking about collaboration can lead to the cultivation of high-performing communities of organizational citizens.